Thank you so much for all the support you gave me, guys.
Okay.
Today, I got promoted.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to Living Gets Real. I'm Ashwini Vedakhan. Joining us on this week's episode, we have Kalpanee Gunawardana. But before we get into the show, here's a little sneak peek into her life. Welcome to Living Gets Real, Kalpanee. It's good to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
You look amazing.
Thank you, so do you.
Thank you. Now, let's start with the most basic question that there is out there. How did you get into modeling?
So I was at university in England and we were doing a fundraiser and it was a fashion show. And my friend and I, who's also Sri Lankan, we were backstage, we were doing the set design. And then it was, oh, we need entertainment acts, why don't you guys do a dance, Bollywood. And not that I could dance in Bollywood to be like, to begin with, but I did have like my flatmates, one was Indian, Sri Lankan, the other one was Pakistani, and then our adjoining flats had like Indian and Pakistani friends, so we all got together and we choreographed this dance item, jumping around. And then it morphed into, hey, do you guys have any outfits? Because now for the fashion show, the other outfits were sponsored, obviously, by brands, but they were like,
The dancers, yeah.
Yeah, not just with the dance, whether we can do a segment with South Asian clothing. Okay. And fortunately, most of us carry our saris and whatnot for the balls, right?
Okay.
So we had that. And my Indian and Pakistani friends, they would have like for, let's say, for Diwali, they would bring an outfit. So they had a couple of them which we could share.
Okay.
So we choreographed this segment, and then at that point, so we first started in Bristol. They had MAC come in, and it was the first time that I even had like proper makeup down on my face. And they were the ones who were saying, the comparison of, oh, you look like so and so sort of started there. And that also has to be qualified because, when you're unfamiliar with features, when you don't see enough people who offer variety, you sort of think, oh, you look like this famous person or whatever it is. But it was still interesting. Just the makeup artist explaining like, okay, this is your jawline, this is your cheekbone, this is how you look to the light or whatever. And that piqued my interest. And then we had a really big show in London. And that's the first time we had like a proper ramp and lights and whatnot. Whilst the Bristol one, we did it on like the school students union stage, which wasn't, such a big affair, so to say. But the London show, I knew that I had found something that I enjoyed because just, walking up and down, because it was something that I thought that I was going to be jittery and, not really into it or whatever. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And it sort of started from there because I kept volunteering for these student shows, fashion shows.
In the UK?
Yes. Then met an agent, did small gigs over there, and
Built it
here I
up.
am. Yeah.
So what was the first show you ever did in Sri Lanka?
It was for Pride, Equal Ground Rainbow Runway. So again, I was volunteering. That's where I met Timo. Shimuran, and he was like, hey, you look like you can model. I was like, I've done a little bit, but I can't really walk or anything because at that point in the UK and the aesthetic I was used to was very much like straight walking. You had those platform heels sort of, so you don't really balance on stilettos and you don't get training, right? And I had no idea like how to cross my legs or do whatever. So Timo then introduced me to Brian Kirkhoven and got me through to the pageant. And Timo, I call him my mentor because, he built me up 100%, teaching me how to walk. Marlon of Malwa, who's a designer now at that point, was working at the same studio, and he would run after me to catch me if I fall to the other side. And Viran taught me how to do my makeup. Stefan, I recall cutting my pair of jeans because I didn't have like form-fitting shorts for the auditions. And he was like, I'll buy you a pair of jeans, give me those jeans. And he was like, he cut them and he was like, there, go now. And it's been a wonderful journey. And
you had an amazing team to back you up too.
100%.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, because with Brian, I became first runner-up at that pageant, and so through that started doing Colombo Fashion Week, and then Sri Lanka Design Festival was what it was called at that point. That was Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. Great experiences, right? And then moved on to the agency as a signed model when they opened up. And
there you are.
Hi.
Now you don't only model, you're also into acting. You've come in different movies. You actually have 2 movies. You had one in 2019, which is Osaria, and you also had one that premiered in Cannes last year, was it? Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the movies, how you got into it, and then the experience in general?
So both of them were filmed at the same time, ironically, around my birthday. So I call it my lucky period. So Osaria was a fashion film. And again, there was a Bristol connection there because my friend, an Indian friend of mine, a British Indian friend of mine who was in Bristol with me, knew a British Sri Lankan who was looking for models in Sri Lanka to shoot Osaria because he is originating from Kandy but has, lived and grown up in England, and he didn't necessarily have the connections here. And my friend just tagged me and tagged him. I was like, hey, meet my friend. I think, she might be a fit for this project. And I've known of him. I've seen his work. I've seen Calvin's work. And I had followed him for a couple of years at that point. I was like, hey, I'm down. Like, what's your plan? What are you trying to achieve? And he explained that he's trying to showcase the juxtaposition of the fabric in itself because it's such a loaded garment, so to say. Because when you say the Candian, you have nationalism on one end, you have exclusion on the other end. When you say this is your national attire, what about other types of clothing? How do young women now relate to the same garment? How there could be oppression in some senses, because if you're told you mandatorily must wear a sari, I don't know about you, I don't like it. Loaded. Because policing your body is what happens there. Like, this is how you should look like, this is how a respectable woman is supposed to dress, etc. And it's erasure at the end of the day, where they say this is standard, this is how you should look like, this is Sri Lanka. And it's a lot of questions to answer in like 3 minutes. As artists, what you can do is just give the small hints and plant those ideas and questions. And I thought he was doing it very beautifully because his grandmother was playing one part and I was like the juxtaposed other part. So we'll be having the same movement, sort of like she'll be getting ready, I'll be getting ready, and you'll have those things juxtaposed. And the creation of it as well, because he went, I think he spent about 3 to 4 months in Peradeniya and in the libraries, talking to artisans, really coming up with the handloom and the color patterns that were existent throughout and what they mean, and even the dresser, just, lifelong artisans, like they've been people who've been creating Candians or dressing brides
for a long time,
for generations. So from one generation to the other, it's passed down. Same with the artisans, and So everybody that was on the team, and by everybody I mean 4 of us, it was Calvin, his friend who was an assistant for him, and Manasha Silva, who's a stylist, and myself. So we were the entire crew, like people, hair and makeup was me, you know, that sort of thing. So we were on a pro bono basis because we knew the project sounded great. It was something for his final year, but hey, you know, if you're going to showcase it at, you know, London Fashion Film Festival, yeah, you know, let's do this. And but everybody else, as in the artisans, they all were paid above their, you know, fair wages. Even the bystanders were paid, etc. And just that process as well, you know, just getting their permission or, you know, having that conversation. We're filming this. Are you okay? Do you want to be in it? This is what we're doing. Informing them, having those. Even the film has those organic conversations between like the hand looming artisans, who's like, okay, is this the color? Do you want this? How much are you cutting from this? Etc. And his idea was beautiful. And it was a massive learning curve for me because, to be absolutely honest, when I thought Candy and Osaria, I was expecting something completely else, like, you know, what you find on brides.
Yeah.
That was my vibe. And when these handloom saris were brought in, I was just like, wait, what? How is this? And then, you know, so I had a lot to learn there as well. And it's been an incredible journey because we've lost count of how many countries it did numbers in, and so it got shortlisted for Aesthetica, so that's a BAFTA qualifying round as well, and we've lost our, so one of the larger fashion houses, right?
That's still amazing though to make
that's
it
the
there.
thing. So it's just that a 4-people crew could do all of that without, we don't have the luxuries that they would. We don't have the resources, you know. It's us shooting in the sun and traveling in the car and, you know, getting off and doing all of that, right? And yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and I'm so glad that it put, you know, a small thing at the very least, you know. Sri Lanka is there, but yes, one facet, but maybe something that we can delve into, and it's questions that we can ask as Sri Lankans whilst we look at it, hopefully. But yeah.
So then what about Tigress? How did that come about?
So Tigress, again, Maya Bastian is the director. She is a Canadian Sri Lankan in the sense she's a Canadian Tamil. And I was in a group with her for one of the advocacy groups, I believe. And she asked for a line producer for a different film, and looking for a female to run, and that's how I connected with her, because she was looking for a female line producer. And I was like, what's your project? You know, depending on it, you know, could be something that I could do. That one never panned out, but then we added each other on Facebook and kept following each other's work. And then she reached out to me saying, hey, you know, I'm filming something, I have a role. I think you might be a fit for it. Do you want to try? And now, Osiri was a fashion film. This is a film with dialogue. And I was like, this is my experience. Like, I do amateur theatre. I've done it, you know, maybe on a decent level up until I was about, let's say, 12. By decent, I mean, you know, semi-professional or whatever. Training. I was trained until I was like about 12 or so. So I was very honest. I was like, I haven't done anything of the sort. And then she was like, it's an open casting. Just send us, you know, your video. And again, we had like Kosh, my co-agent, be my side character, like reading the lines for me. And we filmed it and we sent it, and I got the role. Okay. And I really appreciate that as well, because surely they had, you know, big named actors and actresses for those parts, and she was like, well, we felt you did the best. And you know, that's that. It was incredible again, because so I filmed Osaria, came to Colombo on the day of my birthday, and then evening of my birthday flew again to India, and we were filming in Goa. And yeah, it was just, it's an international crew because they had massive houses, in the sense like production houses from India, from Canada.
So like a fully fledged movie.
Yeah, it's a short film.
Yeah.
It's part of a feature film, but it was a short film, and then it got funding from Netflix for they have a program, an accelerating program, so that you can build it into a feature film. So
Okay.
that went on, and then the Canadian Film Corporation over there, so they have this thing called Not Short on Talent, where they take you to Cannes, and then so got selected for that, and that's how we had the premiere there, and now we are on demand on CBC as well, if anybody wants to check it out.
Amazing. That's just amazing. Now, you are also very vocal on social media, and that's something that we've always admired. We've always followed you and admired that. And you create conversations, meaningful conversations out there that people need to hear, people need to be a part of. Given today's climate, what do you think of social media when it comes to millennials, when it comes to Gen Z? How is it working out for them?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for being so kind, because that's what we all do, right? Like, make a noise, it's either a blip, or if somebody appreciates it, I'm truly appreciative and humbled. Moving on from there, I think you see the power of social media, you see the ability to organize, and even with, let's say, government restricting it, you know the power of it. Because it blocks your right to information, it blocks your right to self-organize. Digital protest is a thing. Dissent doesn't mean, physical protest or direct action alone. All kinds of dissent is dissent at the end of the day. And social media is, we don't have to talk about it in the sense that, it's been proven time and time again that over the last 10 years, so to see, we've seen the impact of it through revolutions and movements elsewhere. And but when it comes to us and those who are, if I may say so, now I sound like an auntie, but those who are younger than me, or Gen Z is those who are coming up after us, first and foremost, well done. Right? I mean, way to go on the noise. But I would say misinformation is a problem with social media. So make sure you always verify what you're sharing.
Exactly.
Even if it's thought leaders and opinions, you can have all sorts of opinions. So do your due diligence as to what kind of school of thought you're subscribing to, and something that might seem very, innocent or very one-dimensional on the surface of it could be very structurally loaded and ignoring a lot of things that happened in the past, or problems that we should be addressing, things we need to keep in mind. So make sure that you follow the voices that have been dedicating their time on ground working on these issues. You have young people, there's people like Amalini, special mention, because she's directly been working on this issue, I think, for a good 6-7 years, right? Platform those voices, learn from them. And then beyond that, I would say just have those conversations. You don't need to be influencer, so to say. No disrespect, influencers are fantastic. What I'm saying is you don't need to be a certain thing, or you don't need to have a certain number of followers. You talk to 5 people, you make an impact, and that's what matters. And revolutions start with you, right? So start with yourself. Yeah.
Lovely. Well, we've actually reached the end of our burning segment, but every interviewee on Living Gets Real has to take part in a game. Right? Are you ready for yours?
Yes.
Okay. We'll be back with Kalpanee's game after a short word from our sponsors.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To protect the things most precious to you. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate. Protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from Jat.
Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with Kalpanee Gunawardana. Kalpanee, are you ready for your game? So since you are an in-between baby between the 80s and the 90s, we've decided to show you a few pictures. Now you just need to identify them.
If she can see them.
And tell us what they were used for or how it was, what it was famous for.
Okay. Got that. That's the... Oh dear, is that a football cup or is that the World Cup? Hold on. Is that the World Cup? I'm gonna say that's the World Cup. Yeah, I still get a point for that.
Yes, you do.
Archie! Yeah, Archie Status. Archie, Veronica, Betty. Who's that character? That's Jughead.
That's Reggie.
Oh, that's Reggie. Reggie looks weird there. He has this thing. 2 cookies.
2 cookies. He's counting.
I have such a big crush on Backstreet Boys, obviously. Yeah. My puberty went through this sector, I think.
Who was your favorite?
So it started with Nick, obviously, and then it moved on to I had a Brian phase, and then I was like, okay, Kevin looks mature. And then I was like, yeah, I just got the down low, but sorry, other guy, I can't even remember your name. Yes. A cassette. Kids know what a cassette is? Oh, Dawson's Creek. Lots of cookies. These are the Dawsons. What would this be? Can you zoom in? What is that gel thing? No, these are these ice lollies, huh?
Yes, correct. But how do you drink them? Do you remember how you...
So you cut this thing, but see, this one has a little pointy top. That's why I was a little confused because our ones came in these little bags.
Thing.
Yeah, just cut it and you put it in your mouth and go. Yum yum. These are jujubes. No, the jelly cups. Jelly cup things. They're not jujubes. Jelly cups. I mean, what would you call these? These are sandals, obviously, but was there a specific name for them?
Yeah, they were known as jelly sandals.
Oh, no.
We were ever in that phase?
I mean, this material was around. I had it on my sneakers and stuff, but I must ask my mother why I didn't get this fabulousness. Find this question. Jen. I loved it. That's the cube. What do you call it? Rubik's. Yeah?
The Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. I mean, these are... are these the rulers that are flexi bands or...
No, you're close. I'm not going to say anything.
These are not the tattoo things, but they're these flexi band things, no?
Yeah, the slap ones where you slap it and it latches on like a bracelet.
Yeah. That's what I had in my head. I'm still getting a cookie for that. TSE! Oh, I'm winning this game.
Yeah, you are. Wow.
That's a Walkman.
How was it used?
What do you mean? You press it open, you put the CD and...
Well, there's a generation out there that doesn't know it. So.
Sorry, kids. I mean, I don't feel sorry for you. You don't have to go through that phase now.
Well, you've actually...
I won everything.
She won. She was able to answer everything. That's amazing.
Thank you. I have lived a life, really. One where Walkmans were around.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today.
Likewise. Thank you for putting this game together.
Thank you for taking part. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much.
And that's all the time we have for you this week. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to catch the latest episode of Living Gets Real. Thank you for watching and stay safe. Thank you.